Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh yeah, gotta have the iPad. I think that's all I need for the moment. Make yourselves comfortable. Yes, would you? I'm gonna knock it over anyway. We'll start there.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all again. For those of you who are here for the first time today, there's been a slight change in time schedule for the afternoon session. So instead of commencing at 3 p.m., it's going to commence at 4 p.m. And so we'll have a larger
That's
lunch.
because the Lama needs a nap.
So we'll have a larger kind of lunch break in between sessions. So we just want to remind you also just if you're leaving the room, just to bring any valuable belongings with you during the break. And yeah, we'll reconvene then at 4 o'clock. Is that okay? Great.
Anyway, there's gonna be homework this morning. You get to do it over lunch. Don't worry, it'll be fun. Yin and yang, sunyata and bodhisattva, not separate, together. If you think that on purpose, when you go like this to do any kind of manlam, after a while, every time you go like this, those thoughts will just automatically go, and you won't have to remember anymore. There's little tricks like this all through the Tibetan system. For example, how many people here just love chocolate? How many people here who just love chocolate don't let themselves have as much chocolate as they'd love for digestive or other reasons? So here's what you do. This is a Tibetan trick, except they do it with rich buttered tea and tsampa, which they love, the way you love chocolate. Whenever you are going to do a session, at least once a day, a proper session, you know, sitting on your meditation seat, either using a text or not, beginning it with a bodhisattva and refuge. Keep a piece of chocolate there. Separately wrapped, really good chocolate bites. Sit down, put the chocolate in the mouth, and begin. The little boys and the little girls who begin in the Dharma, who are considered for a career of it and being trained, it's an education. When they get to be about 16 to 18, they get to choose whether they want that career or something else, because they're taught other skills as well. But the first thing we do is we give them something delicious in their mouth that they really like every time they do Dharma. So it gives them endorphins. Little kids get endorphins from food, sugar. That's why they're always after candy. So we do something that gives them endorphins every time they do this. Every time they recite or read a text. After a while, when they're older and not that food focused, every time they recite or read a text, they get endorphins. It's very helpful. Do it to yourself. Chocolate. See, the whole thing about Dharma practice is it only works if you do it. And a lot of us, we'd rather think about doing it. Oh yes, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that in a minute. But first I'm going to sit here and think about the clothes I'm going to buy tomorrow. What I'm cooking for supper. Whether or not my friend actually loves me. I'm going to sit and think about this. When I'm done thinking about it, then I'm going to meditate. In a minute. In a minute. In a minute. I'm not the only one who's had this experience, am I? No. Right, so you know that we're going to procrastinate, we're going to distract ourselves. See, you have this thing called the survival reflex. It wishes to maintain the illusion of an independent, self-existent entity. And it wants to pretend that entity is immortal, will never die, and it uses every tool at its disposal to do that. That is the opposite. That's, I guess you'd call it the devil, Maya. It tries to maintain the illusion. Even for an advanced practitioner, you are going to have the dance of Mara's sons and daughters. And you have to not grab and not duck. So, there is no cheating. I'm not wearing it today because this is such a good chair, but I have a meditation sash. Supporting your body with straps, chairs, and all sorts of other things is not cheating. If you happen to be from the southern Terai, genetically the people there are slender, with very thin thighs, and relatively balanced length of limb. The Dutch have much more length of limb. Legs and arms are longer compared to the torso than the people there. Now, do I see anyone who's got that little southern Nepali build? Well, anyway, that build sits in a full lotus really well. And when the hands are brought in to 4 fingers below the navel like this, they sit in the lap there. That's not true for a lot of us. For a lot of us, we have to put a pillow there on top of the legs to get them to sit comfortably without having to hold them up and have them in the right spot. Tibetans have very short legs, large hands and feet. We say they have short legs so they can ride the mountain ponies without their feet dragging on the ground. So what you have to do is using your common sense, which is one of the most important tools for the practice of Dharma. Support your body in a proper position with the channels in alignment. Find out the one that works for you. Go on eBay or Amazon and start looking up meditation seats, meditation sashes, meditation. In fact, we're going to have some people on my website selling meditation sashes who want to make a little extra money for themselves. Except on my website, you can't buy one for yourself. You can only buy one for someone else as a gift. And then perhaps someone will buy one for you. It works. You'd be surprised. It works anyway. And then you get both a meditation sash and some gewa. What I'm saying is there's things that go around the small of your back and hold your knees up with little cups. I've seen all sorts of inventions out there. Find the one that works for your body. Find a shop that sells them so you can try them all on. To be supported in a relaxed way so that you're not using your muscles to hold your back straight is going to help incredibly. You should be so balanced and comfortable that you can fall asleep in that position. When I was younger and more flexible, I could spend the night in a full lotus. asleep in a gum tree. Not anymore. You get old. What I really want to do is encourage you to use all the tricks and not to think it's cheating. Yes, the chocolate. Yes, the meditation sash, the special seat. We had a young man who was doing solo practice, very gifted practitioner, a Lama Lena. In fact, if anybody wants their very own really cool Lama that speaks English, he's available. Nobody knows him yet. Talk to Karen, he's in the sponsorship program. Monk Sonam. He's got gray hair like me now, but he's an amazing practitioner. Anyway, he had polio as a child. So when he was doing Salung, we had to build my teacher, his teacher, who is also a friend and someone I consider a teacher in Sopema, who doesn't speak English but is a great Salung master. We built a special seat and sashes for him to support his body in spite of one half being a bit shriveled on the lower half, and so he wasn't even of his butt, so one butt had to have a wedge under it, and this and the other. Good old foam mattresses and a sharp knife. You can make anything. A little bit of a glue gun. It wasn't cheating, and it really helped him when he was studying the Tsalum practices, which was quite a long retreat that he did with Lama Jigme, or Jigme Rinpoche, who's an amazing Tsalum teacher. If any of you are willing to learn enough Tibetan to study with him, he's out there. Doesn't speak English. Old-fashioned guy. Old school. Do you understand what I'm saying about make it fun, make it taste good, make it pleasurable? Do you understand why? Because you won't do it if you don't, will you? I wish I could make an enlightenment video game. So that you would play it and it would work. But that is beyond my capability.
Is that called Dundro?
It can be, but it's not on video yet. Oh, Nundro is so cool. The incredible experiences you can have while doing Nundro is amazing. I recommend it, but I don't insist on it. And I don't insist on any number. You just do it till you get experiences. Yams are signposts. Go to the signpost, then turn left. Enough of a digression. But these digressions have information that is of great value to you. That for a Tibetan goes without saying. But being an Inji, I tend to open my mouth and say all that crap. Chuku kunduzongo gombo hi, dorji sempa garab dorji dang, shere singe bardu shin lepte, de damabzong tata tusum chi, zochen jume lama solwa de. Get Pema Junila Solwa Deb Durjisham Chichalo Narodam Marpan Mila Gompotsatapa Nabudam Palen Drupa So Kargulamanam La Solwa Chen lama nam la solo dem Ro chen lama nam la solo dem Kaginwari lama nam la solo dem Shakya lama nam la solo Nyandu dang yundrun lama namla solo deb. Balkandu jong dang yerme ha. Gungaram dorjishin trapa. Jitidam isume pai. Alamanam chetente. This is a very interesting text, the four uncommon samayas of the Great Perfection. Obviously written by a scholar. Tsultrim Dzongpo, very great scholar in the 1800s. Now, the way I was taught this was not as four uncommon samayas, but as a singular, a central samaya, which was utterly simple. In Sutrayana, Mahayana Sutrayana, you take the Bodhisattva vows, which are quite complex and intended as guidelines, rubber buggy bumpers. Those things in the bowling alley that keeps your ball from bouncing into the next lane if you're a klutz. The Bodhisattva vows. When you come within the Mahayana to enter into Vajrayana and practice the tantric precepts, you receive the tantric precepts, which are also a further addition of complexity. It gets more and more complex, as do the sadhanas, the visualizations, until it gets to the peak of complexity and simplifies totally in Dzogchen. Each samaya overrides the previous ones. So your bodhisattva vows override the eight samayas of a practitioner in basic Sutrayana, whether it's Mahayana or not. And then your tantric vows override your bodhisattva vows. And then your Dzogchen vow, 1, not 4. There's 4 angles to look at that 1. Overrides all of that, and it is very simple. And the delight of it is you cannot break it. It is adamantine and unbreakable. This is why my teacher fell off his throne laughing when he told it to me and gave it to me. The vow is very simple. Never to separate from samyi, big mind, natural mind, chuni, what's that? Dharmata, Dharmadhatu, the union of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. Real mind, natural mind, ground of mind. Never to separate from open awareness. Well, how could you get separate from your own self? You see, adamantine and unbreakable. But you're not going to 100% believe me when I tell you that. Because you are experiencing confusion. And sometimes it feels realer than this. Oh my God, I am just so fucked up. You know that one? Periodically you feel it. Everybody feels it. It's irrelevant. It's just one of those things, you know? Goes by. You don't have to entertain it. You don't have to slather it all over yourself when it goes by. You can just wave. It will continue to go by. I am personal friends with a few high lamas. Just the way things went down, because in places I've been the only one they can talk to, because it's me. Tibet. You know, run into them in some odd place somewhere. Everybody has that experience. Oh fuck, I'm all fucked up and I just did it all wrong. Even high lamas. It doesn't matter because it's just nothing made of nothing. I mean, it doesn't have duration unless you grab it and amplify it and tell it a story. And it doesn't have substance. So who cares if it drifts through your thoughts? That's the only difference, whether you grab it and slather it on yourself, or you just let it drift on by. It's like, yeah, that thing again. So, because of that, it is very easy to not recognize the innate and automatic nature of the Dzogchen precept. How can you separate from your own mind? Yeah, you can separate from your body. Yeah, and cut it up and put it in the four corners and you're not in there, you're somewhere else by now. Okay, I just taught you the Dzogchen precept. That's it. You do want more words, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Scholars. You gotta have them, and I'm delighted you got a few here. Then I don't have to do that. So the way it is said here in the text, as there are four modes, four ways of abiding by the samaya. It is a matter of remaining within the essence of the wisdom of the great perfection by these four modes or methods. However, since the wisdom of the great perfection is utterly natural, when you stop resisting it, there it is. When you just let go of the other crap, what else is there besides Dzogchen and the great perfection and the innate wisdom? You just let go. Or somebody stamps on your little fingers often enough until you finally let go. My experience. The first is named non-existence. Yes, you can get the text. It's available. Somebody will send you a URL. Probably Misha. Should you want it. Or post it or something. The self-occurring natural samaya. Hear that? That's what I just said to you, except that's what it says in the text. And I was using ordinary words. That is the primordially pure essence of awareness beyond all elaboration is the samaya of non-existence. Primordial purity, innate unfuckupableness is what I call it. The word in Tibetan is kata. You know those white scarves that you are always giving people that you wrap up the cookies in, and it's wrapping paper, it's a gesture, it's everything, and then when they're too old to do that, use them to clean pots or make dog leashes? Those are called kata. They are the symbol of your own innate, unlosable, natural unfuckupableness. All the things that you think are problems are just will-o'-the-wisps drifting by. So katak, herein, if you want the fancy terms, it's primordial purity. When you offer it to someone, you're offering them the best of yourselves. The part of you that cannot become distorted, which is really the totality of you. The rest has neither duration nor substance and therefore need not be bothered with. This is the samaya of non-existence, because there is nothing within it to be maintained. Understand that? Nothing to keep, nothing to support. How much effort are y'all putting into holding the sky up? Have you been building pillars just to make sure? Samaya. The samaya in which there is nothing to maintain involves simply remaining within the natural great wisdom of spontaneously present perfection. You want to have a look at that right now? Okay, whatever you be thinking, don't stop. Don't try to stop the thinking. It's just the sparkle, the shimmer of the clear light nature of open awareness. Why would you want it to stop sparkling? It's pretty. Instead, relax your eyeballs. You've heard me tell you how to do that before. Channels in alignment, relaxed eyeballs. Relax your attention from point focus on what you're thinking to a wide open, vast awareness on where the thoughts, feelings, and sensations are occurring, perceptions are occurring. That. You didn't just make something. All you did was shift your attention to something that was already there. You can look at the earth or you can look at the sky. It has absolutely no effect on the earth or the sky which way you look. A simple, don't grab, don't try to maintain open awareness. Don't try to maintain the perception of the sky-like infinite openness of awareness. Relax. As that, without trying to keep anything. If it's good enough for this moment, it's good enough. Don't try to stop thinking. Don't try to stop the moving. Don't prefer the stillness to the moving. Just relax. It is in this very expanse of vastness that the phenomena of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions dance without substance or duration. They're like sparkle. You are the aware awakeness, the seer of the sparkle. You are the light, the clear light that is inherent to and fills the sky, space-like vastness of natural mind. And yes, it sparkles, so we can sparkle. Just relax. Stop trying to make anything out of it. Stop trying to find something that makes your eyes bug out and your mouth drop open. That's just going to look like a goldfish. Just relax as it is. Utter simplicity. It's not new. You don't have to be a better person to relax. Any idiot can relax. So you don't have to fix everything first. There is nothing more to be done. You simply remain in the non-dual recognition. However, your perception of this will move because perceptions do. Don't cling. It is a dynamic, ongoing relaxation. A moment-by-moment choice of whether to grab something drifting by and reify it and wander off down there, or just sit relaxed and let the display unravel in whatever time it takes to do that. Each moment is a choice of this. Relax or grab. Whether you choose in a given moment to relax or to grab makes no difference to this. It is there whether you know it or not. The jellyfish haven't a clue of most anything. Very few creatures think as little as a jellyfish. And yet, I'm thinking of moon jellies. They also have this inherent as their true nature. Of course, you can't tell them to relax into it. They're pretty relaxed. But not quite. There's an incompleteness in the relaxation of a sleeping animal. It is not quite this relaxation. The relaxation of a drunk, drooling. That's a relaxation, but not this relaxation that I'm talking about. I don't have a better word other than relax. But this is an awake relaxation. Simply remain without ever departing from the suchness in which there are no boundaries between observance and breakage. You cannot break this samaya. You can only think you did. That was a thought. You all know what thoughts are by now, right? That's the one that in the text called non-existence. Are there questions? Oh, come on, wake up, guys. Yes.
A very simple one. If you can say a couple of things about the relaxation of the eye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Turn your head to the right. Your eyes are looking to the right, so you're noticing what's to the right. It catches your attention. In a moment, I will ask you to do the same thing to the left, but without allowing anything to the left to catch your attention. Turn your head to the left without allowing anything over there to catch your attention. Didn't work, did it? The attention follows the eyeballs. Once this is clearly noticed, you've got a marvelous tool to move your attention around when you want to. So, right now what we want to do, from beginningless time, as critter upon critter upon critter as we get kinda sorta reborn, only that's a whole nother ball of wax that doesn't work quite the way it's assumed to. You just think it does. Your next life, it's not the same person. You're dead. It's the results of the same person, but there will be changes. You go from male to female, big difference in hormones, very confusing. Did that this time. Oh man, was I a confused teenager. The point I'm making here is that you have been in point focus forever. Point focus, you look at this, you think about this, your attention is on what you think of this, how you feel about what you think of this, and what you're going to do about what you thought about this, and how you felt. That's continuous. Point focus upon point focus upon point focus, right? This has been your experience this morning. Breakfast, coffee. What do I have to do? Where's my comb? Where's my toothbrush? Point focus to point focus. So we want to open it out of point focus so that we are not in point focus on the thoughts, but opening and relaxing the attention into the vastness of mind itself. So we're going to do a trick. It's not cheating, trust me. Take your eyeballs, look straight ahead, straight up and down, slight double chin with it pulled back to get it all in alignment. I've got to adjust this. Okay, there we go. Look at a spot 2 meters in front of your eyes. Point focus on that spot in empty space. Now let go. There are little muscles that move the lens of your eye from distant focus to close focus. If you want to feel the muscles, put your hand in front of your face. Look at your fingerprints. Now look at me through your fingers. Now look at your fingerprints. Now look at me through your fingers. See, feel those muscles shifting? Those are the muscles you want to completely relax. So you pick a point about 2 meters in front of your nose. Focus on the point, then let go of the point focus. Relax those muscles. At first it gets a little blurry. And then it goes to a point where your peripheral focus and your central focus are equally clear, not clear. Auras become visible. This is the trick for aura sight, which is used medically. Medical practitioners, the auras that you see when you do this is useful for diagnosis if you study the subject. However, we are not doing medical, we're doing Dzogchen. So, let your eyes relax into this. Don't focus on the auras, don't pay any attention to those, they're just a nyam, an experience going by. But allow your attention to follow your eyeballs into a non-point focus called open awareness. It is the same awareness that point focus is, but it's not performing that action. It is relaxed and open. instead of paying attention to what you are thinking. The attention expands into where those thoughts arise and vanish. Don't hold your eyes too wide open or they'll itch. But don't close them either. When you first begin to learn this, tricky things the mind does, it sees things. They are distracting. It's almost like you're dreaming and the dreams come in. Don't pay any attention to the occurrences which are moving through. They might be attractive or frightening, never mind, leave them be. Just relax. Enjoy. Relax. Don't even grab the relaxation, let it be natural, easy and dynamic. No need to grab the visions that arise. Did that answer your question about the eye gaze?
Yeah, thank you. But may I ask further?
Yes.
So at times it's very easy to keep a relaxed gaze,
Mhm.
and it feels also very fresh, very refreshing and
Yes.
clear. Other times I might encounter two problems. One is that the eyeball around it burns, or that my eyes get crossed.
So two things are happening. When you get the burning sensation, your eyes are a little bit too open and they're not tearing enough. Blink. Sometimes it's okay to just sometimes go like that and open them again. It is physical. If you have allergies, it will be particularly hard to have the eye gaze during your allergy season because your eyes are irritated anyway. However, the eye gaze is only a tool. Once you have used it a lot and you find it easy to make the shift from point focus of attention, you don't necessarily need to do that much with the eyes. A little bit will happen naturally, but you don't have to be as extreme as when you're first learning it. Make sense?
It just becomes difficult when you're doing practices like Namkarte. It becomes difficult when you're doing practices like Namkarte.
Like, what's
staring
Namkarte?
at the sky.
Oh, yes. Remember, although it is not as important here in Holland as it is in the Indian lands, it is advised when you're doing any sky work not to let the sun fall on your head. We do lose people to sunstroke out in the tropics who don't pay attention to that. So, also, if you're doing, say, corpse pose with sky gazing, you don't do it at noon. You do it, say, when the sun is to the east, you're to the west of a tree, so that the sky is right overhead, but the sun is behind the tree. Once it gets above the tree and starts hitting you, it's time to go have lunch or something. Sky gazing is often difficult for this because of the eye irritation. Some people find that they get dry eye from pushing it too far, and then they have to use certain eye drops. We use the Himalaya eye drops up in the caves when somebody's had an accident. But it's better to avoid the accidents by having common sense about what your body needs while you're practicing. It's all very romantic to look at the austerities of yogis. However, that's more of a Hindu trip, and all that's going to get you is magic powers. Trust me, you do not want those. They're really more trouble than they're worth. More question? More pieces of yours? Come forth.
Yeah, the eye crossing, when you relax completely, is it just let it happen?
Let it happen.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be you let it happen, but don't pay too much attention to what the eyes are doing. One of the problems with this method that I have found is that people tend to obsess then with the eye gaze. Instead of using it as a tool, look, you pick up the Phillips head screwdriver or the special wrench to get the back off the computer box. But once the back's off, you want to put that down and pick up a different tool. So you have to remember not to take your tools too seriously. And the eye gazes are tools. The purpose is to relax into open awareness and to do things to help you do that. But once you've done that, don't worry about the eyes so much. The reason we don't meditate with closed eyes is because at some point your meditation needs to merge with your daily life. At which point, if your habit is to have your eyes closed, you're going to be bumping into things, which is counterproductive. And you won't be able to drive or ride your bike because you can't do that with your eyes closed. So start out with them a little bit open. Also, one of the problems people have is they try to hold them too open. And actually you want like that. See, the mouth's a little open, the eyes are a little open, but not much. Yeah. When you've been doing this a lot, you're going to find that as soon as you put yourself in the position, your mind just falls into that relaxation. No effort. It's become a habit. It's like anybody here who smokes or vapes. When you're stressed and you pick up a smoke or a vape, in that moment, it relaxes you because it's a habit that you use that to relax. It's the pause that you have accustomed yourself to. Habits can be useful or detrimental, depending on the habit and what you're doing with it. More question from you?
Thank you.
Other person? Yes.
Sometimes when I do this relaxation, I sense that my energy in my channels stops flowing. And
When you do what?
the relaxation, so I feel that the energy stops flowing in my channels. And is it okay, or
How does that feel?
like
It
not-
should settle, but it's still flowing. It's just flowing very subtly.
like nothing? Everything stops.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay.
Even sometimes it feels like you're not breathing. Like the chi doesn't feel like it's flowing. It hasn't actually stopped. It's like for people who can't get it to slow down, it's actually supposed to do that. what you're talking about. Yes, it's fine, it's a good idea, it's good. It's a nice nyam. It's not the end-all be-all, it's a nyam, but it's a good signpost of relaxation. But a lot of times, when people are trying to get it to do that, they can't. That's why here's another trick. Yogis have lots of tricks. You breathe in relatively rapidly through your nose, down, all the way down, fill yourself fully, and then you breathe out slowly through your mouth. I think there's a count that this is sometimes taught with, but I don't remember the numbers. It's like this. It settles the chi in your channels. If it was, sometimes your chi's going wing, wang, wong, wong. You know that feeling like too much coffee? So this will settle it.
Okay, and is there a trick how to recognize if I block my chi from that stage?
I have not heard of that occurring.
Oh,
So it's a new one on me. Block your chi from what and where?
maybe some fears to feel something during the relaxation.
Usually, people experience that, in my perception, as a tightness in a specific place in the body. Like here, or here, or here. When it is located, there are practices to unravel the block in the chakras. It's one of the Rushens. It is the inner body Rushen. I teach it periodically, but I'm not teaching it this weekend. So if you think you have some blocks in your chakras, you might want to try that practice and see if you feel a greater smoothness to your chi flow after. The chi actually does slow down, both with age, whether you're a practitioner or not. Well, time speeds up. Not so much the chi slows down, but the time speeds up. You move through time at a much different pace as you get old. Any old folks in here have noticed that time has definitely sped up?
Yeah.
You're moving through it too fast?
Yeah.
Summers are like a blink, and then fucking it's Christmas again. I just got the decorations down. Remember how long summers were when you were 6? Time is not a steady state. Don't believe it's a steady state just because some scientist told you so. Go poke it at yourself and see. People believe that clocks are real. They believe that hours are real rather than mind-made phenomena. Buttons don't have hours. Oh, now they have wristwatches, but in the past, it's like when the sun is there. I'll meet you when the sun's high and we'll have lunch. The sun's going down, it's time for me to go do my practice. In fact, when people ask me how to schedule their retreats, it's always according to where the sun is. And it's different in summer and winter, especially this far north. Winter retreat has a very different schedule than summer retreat. I finally stuck them up on the website for people. The just standard Tibetan schedule for retreats. So your chi's movement will change from childhood through adulthood to old age. Time will change, and as you practice, you will become more aware of the fast and slow of your chi's movement. you will become more aware of, say, the effect on your cheese movement of coffee. Or mate, or alcohol, all of which will affect that. Or meditation. A blockage is another matter. It usually is experienced as a tightness. Is there any location you're having an issue with?
Like right now, it's more because of the position of my body.
Ah, fix that.
Yeah.
You probably need a backrest.
Yeah.
They have these nice little seats. They fold up about the size of a nominal aphasia laptop, a modern laptop. And they have a seat that you put on the floor and sit on. You put a cushion on that if you need one so that you're at a slight slant. Some people need that slant for the sake of the knees. Some of them have straps to hold your knees up if your knees don't go down flat. And then they have a backrest. They unfold like that. And they can be extremely comfortable. I got one for an old yogi, one of my teachers, Annie Wungchung, because Rinpoche gave her a high status seat because she's his lineage holder among the Tibetans. Only didn't have a backrest and her back was hurting because she's, goodness, getting on for 100, I think. So I got her one of those and it works quite well. Amazon.
Is that,
In India.
Is that the camping chair ones, or is it specifically for meditation?
It's a meditation one.
Okay.
I think it's called Nada. Chair, Nada.
It might be.
Another one.
I don't quite remember, but they're pretty good. And they're quite portable.
Yeah.
And they give you that bit of lumbar support that you need if your back doesn't want to do it by itself. So you may wish to experiment with things that help, props.
I will do.
If you find it in a place, we'll talk further together about where you found it and how to get it moving. Some chakras are easier to dredge than others. And there's different methods. Other questions? Yes.
Sometimes when I sit to check, I feel that the very broad, relaxed focus, like my eyes start to wander around a bit, but it doesn't feel point focused. It feels like I can stay in the same relaxed state, even just walking and
Good,
and
do
stuff.
it. But don't try to maintain that. Allow it to extend itself if it does. But don't try to make it do that. If you try to make it do that, it's going to be counterproductive because that's a grasp. Whereas at times it will just do that, and that's great. Go right ahead, take a walk in it. The way to cause that to happen occasionally, for those of you interested, is called GOM, the second word of Garib Dorji, and it's quick glances. Periodically during the day, check and see if your mind's still there. Do it often enough, and what he is talking about experiencing begins to occur naturally at times. But don't force it, because that's a grasping, and that will switch it a bit. And what you'll be maintaining is an experience, a perception, which it is possible to maintain for a very long time. And then, split. And the problem is that if you get good at maintaining something, and you die while maintaining it, you will have a delightful life in the God realms. And then you will die again. And having used up the result of that cause, it don't go well. You can get all sorts of special, magical, fancy stuff from maintaining and from austerities. but they wear off at very inopportune moments, leaving you scrabbling and in a mess. I actually ended up, after magicking up a mansion, everything I could, pure silk wardrobe, everything I could imagine, I ended up working 3 fucking jobs to support the whole thing. God knows, maybe I'd still be there if Ekazati hadn't come and laughed at me. So, don't encourage power or anything else that requires maintenance. It was after that episode that I asked the Tibetans if they had anything that didn't require maintenance. That's what got me into Dzogchen. Because the Hindu methods are very effective at getting magic. And I had Indian disciples following me, it was a weird shit. But it wore off. Quite suddenly. And there I was, 3 jobs, I was exhausted. Just to pay the dry cleaning bill, the rent on the mansion, the 2 expensive men that I had in the mansion. A lovely match bookends, a blonde and a very dark one. They were gorgeous. One was French, one was Indian. Hey, I was 21 maybe at the most, and no better than I should be. Does this answer your question, including a few stories for amusement?
What can you do that you keep recognizing that you're doing it? To prevent that you grab. You didn't use the word grabbing, but
To prevent grabbing,
yeah.
every time you notice you've grabbed something, let go.
Yeah, but there are moments that you do, but you don't notice, only later.
Then as soon as you notice, you let go. No, it's not going to be perfect. That's why you practice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're going to notice you grabbed something because it felt good. So you decided to keep it for a while. Oh, this is a nice mood. I think I'll maintain it. I'm happy. I like this. Okay, let's keep this for a bit. And then you notice you're doing that. I find that particular breath, if I find I've grabbed something as it went by, that particular breath helps me to release. Because it slows the chi, it settles it, so that, and usually a grab is somewhere you've wrapped chi around something in the channels. You can think of yourself on a lot of levels. You can think of the body on a lot of levels. When you think of it as channels, you can sort of feel how an emotional grab onto something is a pulling the channels like this. There's also other channel exercises. You all want a basic one? The yawn? Do you know the yawn? Anybody not know the yawn? Okay, I think I should teach it then. It's really fast. Your channels, which are a manifestation of your attention, or you could say your attention is a manifestation of how you hold your channels. So most of us, we walk around looking kind of egg-shaped. If you look at a tonko, which I don't have one with that right now up, I don't think I can make it big enough on my iPad. But if you look at one, you'll see there's like a pointy spear around the head with little lines. And then another one around the body with little lines. So those are your channels. They all come out of the chakras. They say a chakra looks like a wheel. It's a 3-dimensional wheel. That's why we carry the slinky, to show you. So a chakra I'll get this. There. Looks like this. Yes, it's a wheel, and that you can only draw it in 2 dimensions on a piece of paper. Remember, all these texts are from before we had 3D holograms. But this is actually closer to the shape. These go around, but they also spiral out. And then they curve in around you because you hold yourself in. You hold yourself, you maintain yourself as a singularity. Part of that is something you do with your channels. Like in Refuge, Sa, Lung, Tigli. Sa, the infinite openness, they actually have the potential of infinity. Lung, Sambhogakaya, the life force that rides in it. Sa, Dharmakaya, Tigli, the creativity, the sparkle, Nirmanakaya. So, there's all these little lines of light. Sa, channels, coming out of your chakras. Normally they're wrapped around you, around your head, because your attention is on your own stuff. My life, my friends, my lunch, right? So you hold them close in. In this exercise, we will unfurl them. We will blow chi through them to make them go like this. So as we inhale, lung, which is the chi that rides in the channels, also air. As we inhale, we're going to inflate our channels that are like this and reach them out to infinity. Now, however you want to see the universe, if you want to put Mount Meru in the middle, you reach them out past the 4 continents, past the iron fence at the edge, into the eternal space beyond, above, and below. Or you can go past the galaxy and past the local group and past the major group that several local groups orbit in, local groups of galaxies. However you like to perceive your universe, reach out as far as you can, not just this planet, with all your channels on the inhale. At the peak of the inhale, do not close your glottis. Bear down or do a Kegel. Do not do those things that you would do if you were doing Tumo. It will cause this noise, which is the way the chi squeaks in the channels, and it hurts. It's like nails on a blackboard. You don't want to give a squeak, so don't do the Tumo thing of a Kegel with a bearing down. Hold the air in your lungs for a moment, just with your diaphragm and rib muscles, not by closing here. And then slowly release it. In through the nose and out through the mouth, but with this visualization. And it is good to also move your body like this. So this is what it looks like. Once you've done it a few times, it's easy and fast. It's very similar to the first thing I told you to settle the chi, but it's done also with the visualization of your channels reaching all the way out, and then just relax. Don't try to bring them in. Just leave them, let go. They'll come back in naturally. They always do. That is a very basic Tsalung channel chi exercise that can just help you let go of your obsessions, at least for a little bit. Other questions?
I'm a little bit confused between the Dzogchen teaching about, like you explained, resting in awareness, and then I had other Dzogchen teaching where within this awareness we look for the I, and I found a little bit like...
You are looking at what's called a rongrik, where you look for the I. That is a method. Methods are contained in the how-tos. So this teaching that I just gave on the first of the 4 uncommon samayas, the one called non-existence, this one was without method, isness. To come to there, rongrik is one of the methods. Generally though, if you try it too soon, you will simply come to the knowledge that you don't exist, which is utterly useless. Because you will still feel like you exist. Knowing you don't exist, and then you get into some kind of nihilism, usually from that. So that method of rongrik, self-seeing, I've heard it phrased, turn around and gaze into your own eyes. Who's there? It is done from the perspective of open awareness. After the skill of relaxation. Because if done before the full skill of relaxation into isness, it will become distorted by focus on the idea of self, being or not being. A quote from Saraha, all is and isn'ts aren't. It's one of my favorite quotes. The teaching in which that quote comes from is being given month by month online now by me since we finished Flight of the Garuda. So that's the next one. It's a Mahamudra. Did this answer your question? Be careful of rongrik intellectualized. Although the Tibetan scholars will often point it out intellectually, there are those who believe strongly enough in intellectual formations among the scholars that you can pretty much chase them over the cliff like you can drive a computer mad with the unanswerable question. The question that turns into a circle. That is found in science fiction, where that's how you drive computers mad. But it will probably work on an AI. So you will find in some texts that it's used like that. That is only effective for those who are really trapped in their intellect. And you have to be very, very careful. Where's Jay? Be very, very careful not to believe the thoughts it causes to arise. Make sense? And got the context of these two?
Yes.
Who else has a question? Yes.
Last year you gave me a rush, and I don't know if you remember that, but first you said I should smoke hash, and and I said I'm not good for that, but I practice it, and my question is, should I continue it now?
No, I think you've discovered what I was pointing at.
Okay.
When you get stoned or drunk, what changes and what doesn't? Sometimes that's worth noticing, especially when someone has gotten too stiff and you just want to shake that and make it wibble. Yeah? If you got already the result of a greater flexibility and the ability to see what is not moving when you're drunk or stoned and when you're sober, what doesn't change and what does, then no need to continue that practice. It's a tool. Yes.
I sometimes get confused about like open awareness and my attention on it. Like when I try to put my attention on open awareness, I feel my attention is kind of limited, or it is like better close to my body, and then it gets weaker with distance. But at the same time, it's just I notice that it's just my sense organs that are limited.
No, what's going on here is you're trying to point focus on open awareness.
Okay.
You don't do that, won't work. Which you appear to have noticed. Instead of putting your attention on it, relax your attention into it and past it. It is a letting go, not a putting. Feel? Easy answer. Other questions? Yes.
Could you share your insight about the different channels, like recognizing them? Is it at all useful to recognize the difference between the central channel and the
Well,
other
that
channel?
really depends on what practice you're doing. In pure Dzogchen, nah, who cares? In Tantra, especially in Salung, absolutely you need to. So not all of us at all times are all doing the same practices. They wouldn't fit. You have to follow the map from where you are to where you're going. The map from Paris to Moscow is utterly useless in Timbuktu. It will not get you to Moscow. So you're doing different practices, and throughout the course of your life you will be doing different practices. So I can't answer that question in a singular absolute. It just depends on the current practices. Other questions?
So yesterday you talked about the aggregates and how thoughts and feelings have no duration. How can I work with that in daily life?
Gone. So, as you go through daily life, notice this while thinking and feeling. It's easier to notice it if you take 10 minutes and sit down with a pebble and try to hold your thoughts and feelings still on the pebble. You will find within a few minutes that that is not possible. You will actually come to notice through the use of a pebble which isn't moving, or is actually very slowly moving, just how fast your thoughts and feelings move when you force yourself to sit with your gaze resting on a pebble for 10 minutes. In daily life, the idea is to learn to relax into noticing the existence of open awareness repeatedly during the day without attempting to maintain that. It's again and again rather than ongoing. Different people call this different things. Candace O'Denver calls it short moments, short glances. I call it checking to see if your mind is still there. It's a quick glance and a letting go without maintenance. In the teachings of Garib Dorji, they're online, you can get the text. It is the second part, the second word, gam. The first is to actually notice open awareness, in Dzogchen called tawa. Then the second is this continual quick glancing without grasping, called gam. The texts talk about doing it all the time, but it's only in the oral teachings that I have found that one is encouraged not to try to maintain it all the time or to stabilize the moving, but rather to do a repetition of quick glances again and again during the day. Some people use some kind of mnemonic, a bracelet, an earring that hits their neck and bothers them, a ring that's too big. So different people use different things in the very beginning to help them remember to do this. But after a while it becomes automatic. This leads to the third word. And Garib Dorji just simplified all of Dzogchen really beautifully. So it's considered the root text of Dzogchen in the Nyingma line. Just as 21 Nails is considered pretty much the root text of Dzogchen in the Bon line. Both beautiful texts. Both available in teachings online. I think Tenzin Wanzhou has done a recording of 21 Nails somewhere out on YouTube or someplace. And I know I've done Garib Dorji, and there's one by my teacher of Garib Dorji with translation. The third word, sopa, you can't do. It do you. Can't make it happen. However, it results from those quick glances. And it is a certainty. Like the certainty you have of the law of gravity. You're all sitting here without a nary one of you worrying about floating up and bumping your head on the ceiling. You keep picking things up and then putting them down again without worrying that they won't stay where you put them. And yet you're not thinking about gravity, but you're sure. Yeah, and how'd you get sure? You sat in your high chair. For a good year or two, dropping things out and discovering that they all go down. It was a surprise to you the first time. Mamas, you've seen this stage that you remember. Many of you may remember it from your own childhood. So, Gam would be the answer. If you want to refresh your memory of the teaching of Garib Dorji, go find it on YouTube. Several people have taught it out there. Yes?
Where does this mind looking, mind, where does that, how is that connected to the three words I told you? Or the three steps?
That's what Tawa is.
Okay.
The first word, mind, mind looking.
Okay. So that's looking at past open awareness.
Yes.
Okay.
Because the nature of mind is vast open awareness. So when mind looks at itself, mind looking. Tawa is simply the shorthand word for that vast open awareness which is seen. But it's also being, because it's not just you see it like I see the Damaru out there. You are it, because it is mind seeing itself. So identify with tawa as tawa rather than externalizing it. There was someone else in the back. Yes, gentlemen.
Do stones have consciousness?
Some, not all. Some are inhabited. Some perceive themselves as sentient beings. Some of the big tours out in England, definitely there's somebody in there. You'll see one. But many stones do not. They're like dream things. When you see a stone in a dream, does it have consciousness?
What are these sparklings? How are they connected to the awareness?
They are a symbol.
Symbol?
A symbol of the way Bodhisattva arises in sunyata as sunyata. The sparklies, the rika that you see in the sky, the glass is too dirty. Oh no, I can see them. But the dirt is a distraction. So when you go out to lunch, look for the rika. Tiny, teeny, tiny, bright little sparklies that dance in the sky, in the empty openness of the sky, in the same way that thoughts, feelings, and perceptions dance in open awareness. Symbol.
But a symbol of what?
The sky itself is a symbol of open awareness, of natural mind. The rika which dance in the sky are a symbol of the manifestation of phenomena within natural mind.
And the manifestation of phenomena, is it the natural mind bubbling, or how to see this?
You would do well to find a place and lie comfortably on your back. Corpse position, just however is most comfortable for you, with your back in alignment because you're lying down, maybe something under your knees so your spine is actually straight. You know, make your position where you're in the shade, your head's in the shade, but the sky is straight above you. Lie there and watch the rika dance while investigating how phenomena arises in mind. Phenomena being your thoughts, your feelings, and your perceptions. Now, we're in springtime. The sun is still pretty far south. So if you do this over lunch to the north of a tree, I think you can find a spot. My answering your question is not going to be as useful as you answering your question by this method. And if you're still curious and that didn't work, ask me again this afternoon. Okay? But try it yourself first.
I wonder if what you are talking about here is it the tiny, tiny ones that dark in the middle and then
No.
around, like,
No.
and then dark around?
No, those are tiglies. I'm talking about rika. They're much smaller and much faster.
Because since I was 4 or 5 years or so, I loved to lay on the lane and see those tiny, but they were round and
Yeah, those are tiglies. They have a name.
small, and they move, when you're relaxed, they move slowly, and when you're tense, they move faster.
That's
I
correct.
thought it was something, dirty on my eyes so when I grew up and became...
Nah, it's not. Those are tiglies. And they're very, very useful in certain practices. It is not time to teach you those practices right now. However, I will teach you one thing. If you lie and look up at the tiglies, if you enter into Dzogchen meditation, they will stop moving. It's just a nice way of knowing whether you are actually in trekture or not. So you relax and they slow down, and you relax more and they slow down. At some point they just hover there. And then you're going to grab something and they're going to go. But you can play with them that way without harm.
When doing the watching the sky, and I start looking around, I see them everywhere.
Yeah.
And it feels just like a nyam.
Nyams can be useful.
Yeah, but it's...
Question? Question mark somewhere in there?
Yes. Adavik is actually everywhere. Is this correct? So that,
Yes.
yes, not just in the sky. Just
They are neither inside you nor outside you. It's why they're an excellent analogy or symbol. Okay.
I had experience on acid long time ago when I was all the scenery and could all insects and the nitro everything. Is it good to recall that, or is it more like grabbing?
Neither good nor bad, it's a memory.
Okay.
You can't get it back.
Yeah, but so it's not good to ponder on it so much, it's just...
Well, it's something that happened.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It's not harmful to think about it sometimes, but...
It won't, I can't, yeah, it won't support me in my practice.
No, it's not going to support you in your practice. It's just something like lunch, a thing that happened.
it's just something like that.
Okay, speaking of lunch, let us continue this afternoon. We good with that? Okay, we're going to be back at 4, and we'll go on. Meanwhile, today at lunch, I've offered a number of different practices this morning, right? Unless I told you a specific one that I wanted you to do, like I have with you, I'm going to recommend GOM, quick glances. The easiest way to do that will be to sit somewhere nice for a minute or two with your channels in alignment and find your meditation. Then go eat and talk and do while having, but slow down, do it all a little bit slower than you usually would, no rushing. And just glance. Glance. You have to do it while you're doing stuff, not instead of doing stuff. At all times and on all occasions, notice the already known Dharmakaya nature of mind, Garib Dorji. While walking and talking, getting up and sitting down, whatever you do while you do it, notice the nature of mind. Dzogchen Dorji. So, homework.
Do we continue at 3 or 4 o'clock?
What?
Do we continue at 3
At 4.
At 4? Oh.
Yes, because I am overtired and need a nap to reinflate my talker.
Okay.
Or I'll give it to you in too short a version. Like, look, it's right there. Look at me, you have it. Now get out of here. I've seen my teacher do that to people periodically. We are temporarily complete for this morning.
Thank you.